All right, exciting opportunity this week to go play at Georgia. I think our players and staff are really excited about that. Anytime you get a chance to play, the premier program in college football over the last 5 years, I think since COVID, they got the winningest record in football, and especially dominance in the regular season. I think in 5 years, they've only lost in the regular season to Alabama, and then our game here last year. So it's a very challenging team to always play, especially there. And so we're going to have a great week of preparation and prepare to go on the road in a very tough environment with elite players and a phenomenal coaching staff led by Kirby and what he's been able to do. I said it yesterday in the call when asked. Finds a way to win a lot of games in a lot of different styles and overcome a lot of adversity in games, keep his team together. And, that's why he's the best coach in college football now.
Questions?
Lane, looking at the team defensively, specifically from a sack standpoint, Suntarine Perkins, no sacks. Just your overall thoughts at midway point of the season defensively.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with him. That's a schematical thing about how we've played him differently, and we've played teams differently than a year ago. We're a much different defense, and so we play a different scheme, and so he doesn't have the rush opportunities like he used to. And but he's doing a great job in some different things that I think will also help him at the next level also.
Just obviously first big away test for Trinidad. I mean, just kind of your thoughts on his going into an SEC opponent stadium like that.
Yeah, I think first test really like that for both quarterbacks. We had the Kentucky, but this is another level, especially with game day being there and how our crowd will be. So you have to block out the noise and really stay focused on what we have to do, which is play really well, take care of the ball better than we did a week ago, and let players make plays by you doing your job and not trying to do too much when you get in those environments.
Georgia has seemed to come on late in games this year. How do you prepare your team to just continue to bear down throughout the entirety of the game and not just play one half?
Yeah, I think Kirby's done that for a while with his teams. Even if you go back to Alabama last year, how that game started, and then their comeback. And so I think that, he just does a really good job of, even as you watch him coach on the sidelines, you can't really tell what the score is because he's so into it and his teams play that way. And they overcame the adversity of playing in one of the hardest night places to play at Auburn just last Saturday. And so they do a really good job of not panicking.
You mentioned both quarterbacks. How has Austin been doing emotionally, and then however much you can say physically over these last, I think it was a week since we asked you?
Yeah, he's really pushing through. I commend him a lot for that. Really working hard, trying to get back to 100%, and I know he's ready to go, if we go with him. And I think he'll continue to improve throughout the week.
What, if anything, have you kind of remembered about the 2023 game at Georgia, and how is that maybe helping you prepare for this week in terms of already been there for a couple years ago and already seen that atmosphere and had some players there? What, if anything, are you taking away from that game a few years ago to take into this week?
Yeah, I thought we started okay in that game offensively, and we're hanging in there for a little bit, and then they took over and really outplayed us, obviously, in that game a lot, and felt outmanned in the line of scrimmages, which I talked about immediately after. And so we kind of rebuilt that next year's roster, especially defensively, to try to change that. But every year is different. Just like last year, we were able to win, and it was a much different game. Really, kind of that Georgia thing about always finding a way to come back is why in that game, even when we were up late, a couple scores never felt safe. Just because Georgia's done such a great job of doing that. But every year are different teams. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year for us. We lost 20 of the 22 starters. So I'm pleased that our guys have put us in a place to be in a game like this and remained undefeated.
Kind of like the last couple Georgia games. Is this another trenches game?
I don't know. They're hard to predict. Sometimes, even as the head coach, you think a game's going to go a certain way. and they don't. So that's too hard to predict, but certainly that will be a factor always when you play any game, let alone Georgia, that you're going to have to do a good job with line of scrimmages because they play so physical and they have such great length. You know, they get the best players in the country, and Kirby, like Coach Saban, recruits, you know, size and speed, and it's always really obvious with them, especially in warm-ups when you're out there.
Georgia has a different quarterback than you've seen the last couple of years. What sort of challenges does Stockton present?
Savvy, you know, make a lot of plays, keep plays alive, and they've done a really good job with him, you know, of winning certain situations and not making bad errors to put them in bad situations. So they're a really complete team.
Off the wall question, you and Kirby, probably some of the more demonstrative coaches on the field. Who do you think burns more calories in a game, you or him?
I don't know. That's a good question. I walked by the TV and saw his press conference today, so it don't look like he's burned too many calories. But he does have a lot of energy in the games, and he coaches really passionate. And I've given him heat before about the weight loss part. He says he's too stressed to work out.
The two of you have been at your places for, I don't know, maybe the two longest stoops, I guess, is in that mix as well. What does that say for the programs that you've built, both of you?
I mean, he's done a lot longer, it's probably 11 now, and done a great job. Remember, he went there, I was at Alabama when he took the job, you know, and had the first year not, you know, playing as well as they'd like, and he kind of redid their offense and then has never kind of looked back since, and really became the new Alabama and kind of built it the exact same way. You know, people talk about people leaving Coach Saban and like, you know, what do they take? I think Kirby basically is Coach Saban, you know, in almost every area, how he is, how he coaches, everything, how he models his team, and it's worked. They basically have repeated the program and the success, really against everybody but Alabama.
Any other questions?
All right, guys, thanks.